I'm gonna tell you right now that the best players in football are the ones that follow their instincts more times than not. So in this video, I wanna go over how you can start to do this, because maybe you're confused on how to actually do this or you don't have too much experience doing it. Because when you become more of an instinctual player, you become quicker in your decision making, you become more effective, you choose the right option more times than not. In many different positions, like if you're a goal scorer, you'll end up scoring more goals. You'll end up, if you're a midfielder, being more creative. So obviously it is very valuable to learn how to do this. That's coming up next. Hi there, welcome to Simplysoccer. My name is Dave if you are new to the channel, and I'm releasing videos every single week to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. If you also want to do that, you can get my free ebook Game Changer. Get it down below. It is 50+ pages that is going to help you take your game to the next level, or you can go to simplysoccer.academy and you can get it there. It'll be the first thing you can actually access there. Now, without further ado, let's talk about how you can start playing more instinctively and develop those instincts so you're just standing out more on the pitch. So number one is I want to start with our foundation here, and I want you to be working on the fundamentals heavily, because when you mastered the fundamentals, when they're a part of your muscle memory and you can do them instinctively, then when your instinct tells you to take a certain type of touch, to play a certain type of pass, to shoot in a certain type of way, you're going to be able to do it, and you're not going to mess up the technique. You know, it's one thing to be able to listen to your instincts. It's another thing to have the technique to actually execute on what your instincts are telling you. And the fundamentals are always going to be your base. And in fact, if you've mastered all the fundamentals, which is actually fairly hard to do, you will be an amazing player, especially if you're moving instinctively. If you look at some of the best players, like we can look at one of the most creative, best midfielders right now, Kevin De Bruyne, he just is masterful at the fundamentals. One of my favorite players in history, one of the players I grew up watching, Zinedine Zidane, was another player like this. He was just so masterful at things like ball control, just using simple moves in such a fluid and elegant way, and he was so good at instinctively executing on the fundamentals, better than most players who have ever played the game, right? So mastering those fundamentals is going to give you that base for when your instincts do come up and you've learned to listen to them, where you're able to execute on these simple things very well. You'll know when to pass, how to control the ball, which ways to control the ball, when to shoot, when to pass, when to dribble, all of that different stuff. And so working on those fundamentals heavily is going to help you massively in this. In fact, in the comments, if it resonates with you, put "I am following my instincts," and we'll move on to number two. Number two is practice deliberate scenarios you find yourself in matches. So game-like situations. And then what I want you to do is practice instinctively moving in these situations. So for example, if you're a midfield player, you want to be practicing operating in tight space or coming and receiving the ball, understanding if you can turn, if you need to play it back, you know, decision-making of that nature, and start to get a feel of what your instincts are telling you in these situations, right? And you'll start to find when you stay hooked in and tuned in and you're listening, you're making really good decisions more times than not. You're taking better touches, you're playing the better pass more times than not. And the more you practice these situations and the more you practice listening to your instincts in these situations, the more you make that connection and the more you're going to be able to do it in your matches as well. And it is essential that while you're playing or practicing these game-like scenarios, you're also doing it at game pace. Going through the motions typically cuts you off in your instincts a little bit, but when you're tuned in and you're fully hooked into the moment, that really gives you more access to your instincts coming in and really giving you more information to work with and what it believes the best decision is going to be. So practice those situations. You know, you've worked on the fundamentals. Now we need to practice those situations you find yourself in. If you're a goal scorer, for example, you should be working heavily on your finishing in different scenarios, maybe where you have to take someone one-on-one and finish first time from across, etc., and really work on listening to what your instincts are telling you in those situations. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you hit that like button and we'll move on to number three. Now, I kind of mentioned this about staying hooked in, but maintain a level of calmness. In my eyes, you cut yourself off from the intuition, from your instincts a little bit when you get way up in your head. You know, your instincts aren't really in your head, so to speak. They really come to you in this more fluid way when you're calm. You have more access to them. When you're in your head and you're kind of in your ego, you might try and do something to prove something. You might do something to get back at someone, you know, whatever else it is, and make a rash decision. But when you stay calm, you have more access to that intuitive, instinctive information where it's like, turn this way, go that way, and you'll just get the feeling of what to do. And you want to try and stay hooked into this as much as possible. You know, one way I can describe it is maybe you have a goal scoring chance and you're kind of up in your head and you just go to smash it, where your instincts would have told you to side foot it to a corner and you probably would have scored. right? That's what happens to a lot of players who are not goal scorers when they find themselves in a goal scoring opportunity. They just go to smash it. Now, sometimes it works, but the probability of that working isn't too large. Typically, if you keep a calm head, listen to your instincts, you'll usually find the corner or the right finish, and it will work out for you. And so staying calm and staying tuned into the match, which just means tuned into the moment, you're not getting distracted, you're not letting your emotions hook you this way or that way, or players get under your skin or whatever else it is, you're staying hooked in and focused on what you're doing, you have greater access to your instincts, your muscle memory, and things of that nature when you're doing that. And fourth one, final one, is don't fight your instincts. This is what a lot of players get tripped up on. We all have instincts, we all have that intuition, but a lot of players fight it. And this is why, number two, I want you to work on game-like scenarios where you're listening to your instincts, where you're practicing this. You might make some mistakes here and there as you're practicing this, but keep working on it and you'll start making less and less mistakes. And the reason we want to do that is I want you to get used to not fighting your instincts. You know, again, I can relate it to goal scorers especially. I used to do this when I was in front of net, and I learned to just go with my instincts to keep my calm, and I found I scored way more goals when I did it. It seemed like my body just knew how to move, what position to be in, what run to make in order to give myself the best chance to score, what type of finish to use as well. And when you get into that habit, you're just going to score more goals, and you can apply this to any position. You're positioning as a defender. You know, it can be, you know, when to cross, when to dribble as a winger. It could be for a midfielder, when to pass, what passes to do, creative passes, that person's open, I know instinctively to play this ball, whatever else. You want to make sure you're not fighting your instincts, because if you do, that's what's going to make it so you're more prone to mistakes. That's what's going to make you nervous. That's what's going to cause you just to make poor decisions for the most part. Anyway, guys, if you want something else that's going to help you be a standout player, I recommend you watch this video next. Get working on these things to help your instincts, and I'll see you in the next video.